Chapter 12, Part 6, Coping, How People Deal with Stress. Remember, these lectures are supplemental to reading the text. Coping refers to the ways in which we try to change circumstances or interpretations of circumstances to make them more favorable and less threatening. There are two ways of coping: problem-focused and emotion-focused coping. Coping tends to be a dynamic, ongoing process. When coping is effective, we adapt to the situation and stress is reduced. Maladaptive coping can involve thoughts and behaviors that intensify or prolong the stress or that produce self-defeating outcomes. Adaptive coping responses serve many functions. They involve realistically evaluating the situation and determining what can be done to minimize the impact of the stressor. They involve dealing with the emotional aspects of the situation. They are directed towards preserving important relationships during stressful experiences. Psychologists Richard Lazarus and Susan Folkman describe two basic types of coping. Problem-focused coping is aimed at directly changing or managing a threatening or harmful stressor. Problem-focused coping strategies tend to be most effective when you can exercise some control over the stressful situation or circumstances. Emotion-focused coping is aimed at relieving or regulating the emotional impact of a stressful situation. Problem-focused coping strategies represent actions that have the goal of changing or eliminating the stressor. When people use aggressive or risky efforts to change the situation, they are engaged in confrontive coping. Planful problem solving involves efforts to rationally analyze the situation, identify potential solutions, and then implement them. Emotion-focused coping strategies, changing your reaction to the stressor. The escape-avoidance strategy involves shifting your attention away from the stressor and towards other activities. Seeking social support involves turning to friends, relatives, or other people for emotional, tangible, or informational support. In distancing, you acknowledge the stressor, but attempt to minimize or eliminate its emotional impact. Denial is a refusal to acknowledge that the problem even exists. Like the escape strategy, denial can compound problems in situations that require immediate attention. Most constructive emotion-focused strategy, positive reappraisal, occurs when you not only try to minimize the negative emotional aspects of the situation, but also try to create positive meaning by focusing on personal growth. The most effective coping is flexible, that is, fine-tuning one's coping strategies to meet the demands of a particular situation. People often use multiple coping strategies in stressful situations, combining problem-focused and emotion-focused strategies. Culture and coping strategies. Members of individualistic cultures tend to emphasize personal autonomy and personal responsibility in dealing with problems. Thus, they are less likely to seek social support in stressful situations than are members of collectivistic cultures. They favor problem-focused strategies. In collectivistic cultures, however, a greater emphasis is placed on controlling personal reactions to a stressful situation than on trying to control the situation itself. Thus, people in these cultures favor emotion-focused strategies. Application: minimizing the effects of stress. Exercise regularly, avoid or minimize the use of stimulants, get enough sleep, and practice a relaxation technique. This concludes Chapter 12.